Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here talking to you about LocWorld 51 in Dublin. And with me in this interview, I have the moderator of one of our keynote panels, Dave Ruane.
Hi, I'm really nice to be here.
Thank you for being here. How are you?
Great. Really looking forward to talking about what we're going to talk about, right? That's something that Steve Jobs, I think, launched as a way of speaking. So looking forward to it and letting people know about what we are going to talk about with the Optimist Manifesto panel.
And when I read up on your topic, that was no surprise to me that you had chosen this title on your panel, because I know you as a very positive person. But tell me a little bit more. Why is this an urgent topic, do you believe? And why did you bring it to LocWorld?
Yeah, sometimes and more often than not lately, we get caught up, I suppose you could say, in the hype, and invariably that hype is turning a little bit more into concerns. I don't know what's going to happen. Is it do I have fear of missing out, or do I have fear of something else? I don't know if you know the acronym FOFU. Well, it's fear of effing up, right? And so there's a lot of this kind of fear culture that's built up around technology, around what's next within the industry, around internal, external forces. And what I want to do is say, well, hold on. Sometimes if you zoom back and you look at things, and sure, there's stuff in front of us, and things are happening, but what's the opportunity for all people within the ecosystem? How can we take that opportunity, make good on it? And that's where this panel came from. We're borrowing a little bit from Mark Andreessen's Technology Optimist Manifesto, which came out last year. We want to talk about, well, what's the market space? When you're looking at business, when you're looking at business opportunity, you want to look at, well, what's the market space, ICP? Where does education come into play? Where are new ideas coming from? And what does the potential future of the industry look like, right? So when you create those states and put it out almost in a business plan, then it makes a lot more sense for people to say, well, I can deal with that. I can go from where I am now to this point. I can get involved in that market space. And, as I mentioned, recently we've seen some scaremongering. We've also seen some real events happening at localization companies where teams were reduced. But there are opportunities in the industry. The industry has strength. And while the path may be a little bit hazy, we want to shed some light on it and, covering current issues that are impacting localization and presentation of ideas that will assure our future, we believe.
When I talk to people in general, it seems that more and more are stressed by the expectations of what AI can do with our industry and how it's going to impact our industry, and that those expectations are sky high on the client side. What is your experience? How do you work with your customers to manage those expectations?
Yeah, it's interesting you use those words as well, and this idea of perception versus reality. And during one of our prep sessions, one of our panelists, Peter Reynolds, mentioned the Mark Twain quote, which was, "News of deaths are greatly exaggerated." And it kind of brings into mind that when we analyze down what is the real reality of something and go deep enough, then we can actually see it for what it is, and rather than it just being a perception of what it is, there's a reality, and then with that you can figure out, well, what can we do about it? And one of the other things we covered in our prep so far is this idea of the pendulum shift. Sometimes when things are way over here and you want the pendulum to move way over here, we go a little bit too far, right? And what we want to do is try and give a balanced view to, hey, don't go too far. Actually, you can target a spot closer to the middle. There's a great theory in electronics called control theory, and it's got a lot of these kind of sine wave graphs, which the idea is they're trying to get to the point in the middle. And I think that's where we want to try and take this conversation. We'll make it fairly interactive with the audience, as we always try and do. I mentioned Peter is one of the speakers. Peter's, you know, I'll say he's in the industry longer than me, which he won't appreciate, but just about he is.
Perhaps even longer than me, but you're not alone with Peter on stage. Why don't you introduce us to the rest of your panel?
Yeah, great. So Peter is co-CEO at memoQ. We're also joined by Unn Villius, who's at Vistatec and manages the sales organization there. And Unn, I've got to know very well myself. Always a pleasure chatting with her, and has a very good view collectively of the business side of the industry. Has a perspective based in the East Coast of the US as well, and been working there quite a while. So with Unn and Peter, we're also joined by Jon Ritzdorf, currently with Procore. Many people know Jon and that kind of solutions mindset that he has. So when I'm trying to do panels, I love to have balance. I'm privileged to have that kind of balance here with the three of them. And we're looking forward to have a bit of fun, bring the audience in on the fun as well, but also get some real takeaways out of this. You know, what does it mean? Like if somebody is here, how do they get to there, right, as I mentioned? And that's what we want to be able to help with. We don't want to have a panel just for sake of doing a panel. We want to actually make it useful, get some good insights out to everybody, so everyone leaves going, actually, I can do something here.
LocWorld has not been in Dublin for quite some years now. How does it feel for you, being, as far as I know, one of the locals,
Dubliner,
to bring to bring it back there? What can we look forward to in Dublin?
It's great. You know, one of the things I and many people love about LocWorld is that we get to see lots of different places, right? And you know, Dublin has been, I remember, I think it was 2016, 2017, there was 2 LocWorlds back to back in Dublin. And it's, you know, Dublin is still the same city, although many people will notice some changes. It's quite a fast changing environment there as well. But we can expect a lot of the same crack, okay? That's spelled C-R-A-I-C. And that is the Irish for having fun. Okay, don't get the wrong impression here, folks. So we'll have some crack. The location where LocWorld is a really nice location. It's what we call Dublin 4, which is just south of the river, about a mile from the river south. And it's quite an affluent, and it's the old Georgian neighborhood of Dublin, right? So you've got a lot of large boulevards and squares and gardens and parks, and it was quite a nice area in the 19th and early 20th century. It still is. And so now quite a lot of offices have set up shop in these Georgian and some Victorian buildings. And we're going to be right by there. So nice walks. You've got the canal right beside you. So nice walks. Canal Bank Walk, famous poem. And by Kavanagh, was it Kavanagh? I'll probably be picked up on that one. And so good location. I think we're going to have good local presence. We're also, I'm involved, as you said, in the Process Innovation Challenge, and we're going to have some local fun with respect to that, which we'll announce later. So looking forward to that. And yeah, it's, you know, many people know Dublin back in the 90s was the software localization hub, certainly of Europe, maybe worldwide at that point in time. So there's still a very large remnant of that. And local companies, so hoping to meet many of those.
Sounds wonderful. You mentioned Unn being one of your panelists, and she was one of the people in the audience in Malmö last year, and she helped me to teach the audience how to pronounce Malmö.
Malmö. Yeah, I still
almost there. But how are we supposed to pronounce Dublin? Because I'm sure I don't do it correct. How do you say Dublin?
Oh, well, they reckon there's over 30 different accents in Dublin, and I probably have one of the softest ones, but proper pronunciation of that would be probably Dublin. So
Dublin.
There you go. Emphasis on the Dublin. And
Dublin.
There you go. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So we can train people on that if they like, but Yeah, it comes from Dublin, which is Blackpool, which is actually a pool on the River Liffey and Olivia, which flows right through the center of the city. And then Dublin is divided into two parts, north side and south side, which both economically and socially, there've been a degree of a divide and always a lot of fun and crack, remember that word, between both sides of the river. But yeah, Blackpool was the original Viking, when they founded it over 1,000 years ago. They founded it around the Blackpool, Dublin.
Thank you so much, Dave. I learned so much, and I'm sure that our audience at LocWorld 50 and 51 will learn a lot from your view and the panelists in your session. So what is there still to say? Well, see you in Dublin to have some crack.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Dave. See you soon.